All right, one of the really neat things about Audacity is that there are some effects that you can use to change your voice. So I'm just going to show you a few of those. And what I'm going to do to start is I'm just going to make sure that my microphone's turned up. That's one thing in the editing. If you have trouble and your microphone's not working, you can always turn it up there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And I'm going to select this part of or part of my recording, pardon me, and I'm going to go into effect. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can play around with, but the two that I would definitely recommend are the amplify and the fading. So amplify lets you take a selection and either make it louder or make it softer. So that's amplifying, and I'm just going to cancel that. But in order to have that working, you have to allow clipping and then press OK. Now I'm just going to cancel that. Another thing that you can do is you can fade a section in or you can fade it out. And if you don't like anything ever, just press undo. So let's say at the beginning I want to just fade that in, select it, fade in, and then if I want to select this part and fade it out. That's a really good tool for music. And again, I'm just going to undo those. Maybe zoom out a bit here. Another effect is to speed up a selection, a part of a section, or slow it down. So if I wanted to change the speed and speed that up, then I would change my voice into sort of like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Or I could also use that same change speed and slow it down. And I would sound like Darth Vader or perhaps some sort of ghoul. So there's lots of things that you can do with effects. For your purposes, play around, but for school, most likely you're not going to have an opportunity to change your voice too much, but it's worth just seeing what's in there. Now, the other part that I wanted to show you is how to import music. And when you're creating a podcast or an audio recording, it's nice to start with about a 3 to 5 second music introduction. So I'm going to go back to my time shift tool, and I'm going to move the beginning of my recording to 5 minutes. So you'll see, or 5 seconds, pardon me. If I zoom in and then just come over here to the very beginning, you'll see that that tells me how many seconds or how much time. And I have a little bit of an intro, and then I want to bring in some music. So to do that, I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Import Audio. Now I have a bunch of music from a site called Free Play Music, and so I'm just going to show you one on how that works. This is an MP3 file. I think, oh, it's an MPEG file, and I'm going to open it. And it's going to bring, MP3 file. And that's now my music. And that looks way louder than my voice. So I need to turn it down a bit. And I'll do that here. That's one way I can do it. I'm going to zoom in because I want to fade that music in a little bit at the beginning. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Just going to take it to the beginning. I'm going to go back to my selection tool. Select that. And I'm going to go fade in. So my music will gradually fade in. Play around with that. See what it sounds like. And then at the very end, I don't need that much music at the end. So I'm going to again select all of that. And I'm going to cut it. So clicking on there. I'm going to select that little end again. And I'm going to fade it out. So right at the end, my music will fade out. So what I'll have is some music in the background of my voice. And you can play around with this. If it's too loud, I can always select it and go in and I can turn it down a little bit, or I can keep turning it down here. So there's some different options there. There's some sound effects as well that you can add. And so let me just go and do that. And I'm going to import, see if I have a sound effect on here. Sound effects. And let's see, cheering. So I'll import my cheering sound effect, and you'll see that as I do that, my screen is filling up, so I'm going to just tighten this up a little bit. It's not quite letting me do that. There we go. Just so I can see what's going on here. This is my sound effect for cheering. That's a really long sound effect. And I'm going to put it right at the end. So I'm going to time shift that, move it down to the end. So I've got, the timeline shows me that I've got music starting, then my voice comes in. As I'm done, the music's going to fade out and I have some cheering at the end. And that's what that tells me. And that cheering looks really super loud. So once again, I'm just going to turn it down here. Oops, that's the balance. Oh, right here. Okay, so that's how to do some editing of effects and bringing in music and sound effects. And you're going to want to go to a site called freeplaymusic.com to find your own free music. Now, I think your teacher might also have some up on the public drive for you. So there's some different options there for you to be able to add some music to the background. So good luck.